obviously, disappointing how we played and both ends of the floor, and it's on me. It started yesterday. We had a terrible practice, worst one of the season, and we came today against a team that shoots the ball at a high percentage. I thought we've been taking steps forward. We've been rebounding the ball. We've been harping on it. Today, huge step backwards, and it's on me to change it. It doesn't get any easier. Michigan State coming to town, so Indiana played great. I got to give them. They shot the ball as well as they've shot, this year, and we knew that coming in, that they were a team very capable of that. Dorn is really good. I thought dangerous when I watched the film, and obviously Wilkerson's averaging 20, got his average. DeVries got his average plus some, so we have to play better. I thank the crowd for being there. The energy just wasn't there from our guys, and that's on me. I got to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Steve, what did you make of your team's effort in this game?
Yeah, just we've been taking steps forward with that, but it started, and these two guys know it, started yesterday in practice, and we didn't have the right focus, and we're not good enough to not have the right focus, and, just disappointed. Playing a good team, obviously Indiana, and, to not have them play and not have them ready to play, it's 100%, it's on me, and, no, I didn't like anything today. I didn't like anything, and like I said, I've liked this team. I thought we've taken steps, and I thought we were getting better. We out-rebounded last three opponents, and this should have been another game where we did the same, and, that's all effort. And I hated the fact we had 5 fouls. That's that means you're not doing what you need to be doing defensively, offensively. 5 fouls, we need to be physical when we play these games. We have shown signs of being physical, and we didn't have any of that tonight.
Steve, Tariq scored half your points, took about 40% of the shots. Do you worry that this team depends on him too much offensively?
Well, our defense was terrible tonight, and we didn't rebound. So, we could still win this game, and we got to make some open shots. We didn't finish at the rim at all. But it's one game it's our offense, one game it's our defense. We just have to be more consistent. But really disappointed, taking step defensively and rebounding wise, and we didn't do that tonight. So. When you play like that, you're not going to, have success.
Steve, Dillon got on the board for the first time in a couple games, and he just doesn't seem like himself out there. Is he just kind of recovering still, getting back?
Yeah, he had the flu. He lost 8 pounds, so, need to try to get him back to his old self. But, that's certainly been, an ongoing battle. He's tried hard, to get through it, but, it's been tough for him. So you got to just keep plugging through it. There's nothing you can do.
Steve, you talked about how the focus wasn't there last practice and tonight. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, you can ask these guys right here, because we practice. We always practice, and we decided yesterday, for whatever reason, that it wasn't the day we were going to have practice, and the guys know how I feel about it yesterday, and it carried over to today's game. So how we practice is very important. When you have 10 newcomers, you got to practice to prepare to win. And, I think in 10 years, it's the first time I talked about practice and having a really bad one. And, these two guys were part of it too. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like they weren't a part of it. And we got to go back to having good practices. We got to get back to being physical. We got to have a good focus, and we will. We will.
Coach, you mentioned the defense, of course, 15 threes for Indiana. So what do you think just went wrong defensively for Indiana to get 15 threes?
Everything. We didn't foul. You got to be more physical. You should get 10, 15, 12 just because you're playing so damn hard, on every play. We didn't close out the way we needed to. Nick Dorn, I knew how dangerous he was, and obviously he got to start tonight. And I always worry about guys that get to start after haven't been and especially a guy like that came out of the portal and is known as a big-time shooter. So Tucker made his first 3, which I thought was very important. When you're a shooter and you make that first one, it helps you a ton. We gave him great confidence as the game went on, and once you give a good shooter confidence, then it's a problem. And not only did they have him, they take the 14th most threes in the country. So, they're all very capable of that. But, we obviously, didn't play the way we had to play to beat a team that shoots the ball like that.
Steve, what's the thought process in continuing to bring Tariq off the bench, and will you look at that after the way the starters performed tonight?
Yeah, it didn't really matter tonight who you start. His numbers as coming off the bench are obscene, and they continue to be. He did start 11 games, and he's doubled his numbers coming off the bench. So, he's a guy that is playing at the highest level and playing the most minutes, taking the most shots. So, if he needs to hear his name called and that matters to him, we need to get, these other guys, ready to play.
The starting unit use him in it.
Yeah, I think the bench needs him too. So, yeah. So 28 minutes though. He plays a lot with the starters and without them. But that certainly wasn't our issue tonight. It was a lot of issues.
Brian and Richie. Bai's been out the last 3 games. Do you have an update on where he is?
He had
long-term?
surgery on his hand, so he's today he had it. So
Long term.
I haven't spoke to him today. He had it, but I would assume.
J. Mike, Steve just said to ask you guys what went wrong in the practice yesterday, and how do you guys, as the veterans, kind of change that tune of everything?
I would just say our focus. I feel like when we came into practice, our focus wasn't there. And Coach, he kind of harped on us, and we never just seemed to pick it up. I feel like it's just more of us not understanding like how that can carry over, and just, we got to do better as a team, and, that has nothing to do with Coach, just us as players coming to practice, ready to practice. Coach tried to tell us, but we as players got to make sure that we're doing it.
No, yeah, picking back up on what they said, our focus wasn't there, our energy wasn't right. Day before game, I feel like our preparation is most important. Like I said, we didn't come in ready to practice.
And you talked about how Tariq scored nearly half of the team's points. How do you balance riding the hot hand like Tariq versus getting the rest of the team involved?
Yeah, today that wasn't like, our main issue. Tariq can do some really good things. He's been scoring at a really, really high level. But, there's a lot of other things, too, that, he didn't have a rebound tonight. So, that's 28 minutes. And when we get out-rebounded, our guards don't rebound. And that's a big part of this thing, too. So, I know you guys, because he's scoring so well, you're focused on that, and that's a good thing for us. But there are so many other areas that we got to, improve on, especially, today. We just, like I said, we've been taking steps forward. Today was a huge, couple steps back, and that's disappointing because I think we're ready to take steps forward. So we'll be practicing tomorrow. We'll have a heck of a practice tomorrow. It will be a long practice tomorrow, and our guys will be ready to practice tomorrow. And then, again, we're playing a Hall of Fame coach, and we're playing Michigan State, an unbelievable opportunity, a ranked team, and we have to play, better and with more passion.
You guys have a couple instances of 3-game losses, but you've been able to right the ship in the game afterward. What do you guys have been able to do on that 4th game to get a win and get back on the win column?
We can't give up 82 points at home. That's the first thing. And you can't get out-rebounded. Those have been our Achilles all year. Our defense has not been, where it needs to be. I know we got 10 new guys, and I know, my coaching, they tell me to be patient, and you got a lot of new guys on the floor. But, I just think, again, I just thought we've been ready to take steps forward. We've been showing really good signs, and we've been a pretty good practice team. So to have a day like yesterday, which, really, I think set the tone for today, and we got to make sure that, that doesn't happen, and we got to continue. It's the toughest league in the country. The most ranked teams, and the only teams that aren't ranked are the teams that get beat by the ranked teams. So we're a league that probably should have 10 teams ranked, but we beat each other up, and teams fall out of the rankings and stuff. So, it's a league that you get to go through these periods, and you better be tough enough to, get yourself up off the mat. And these guys have done it before, and they got to do it again.
All right, guys.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys.